How's it going, everyone?
First we'll go to George.
Lois, my man, this whole thing started for you in California, ironically, at Coachella. It was your first preseason back, comeback player of the year. You're going back now for the final. There's an aspect of it where I feel every team that you've played, it's always been the Red Bull are playing this. Do you think it's time people should start to put a little respect on the Red Bull name and that they're playing the Red Bull, not Red Bull playing the Galaxy?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I've been saying throughout this whole run, I guess everyone's sort of entitled to their own opinions, you know. The regular season does say a lot, and the teams that we've played in this run had better regular seasons than us, so if that was the narrative, then that was the narrative, you know. We knew what the task was at hand, we knew what we needed to do, and I don't really like getting too caught up in that. If the narrative is that we're massive underdogs again, then we've just got to go and try and get the job done once again, and all that stuff's really sort of irrelevant. I think hopefully we've earned everyone's respect, and yeah, long may it continue.
Next we go to Joe Pintorno.
Lewis, on a personal note, you come back from this injury, you work your way back up to leading this team in scoring, you get back into the Scottish national team, you're playing in the Euros, you make it to an MLS Cup final. Has this been, for you, maybe the best professional season you've ever had?
Yeah, I mean, when you say all the things that you said there in terms of accomplishments, probably would be the one that I would that I'll look back on really, really fondly. I mean, there's a lot left to go. It's all well and good being the finalist, but it really counts for nothing if you don't win it. But of course, in terms of all the things around it with the injuries and the comeback, and then everything that's came this year is obviously something that I think even myself setting lofty ambitions all the time would maybe have been a little bit of a stretch if I said that this is how the year was going to go. So yeah, obviously loving it, and I think that this weekend will really be the deciding factor on that, where I rank it in my career so far.
Next we go to Mark Fishkin.
Lewis, we've talked about confidence and the team playing with a tremendous amount of confidence. You've had 3 clean sheets on the road. You handled an Orlando team playing at home. LA's lost only a single game this season. Does it matter to you where this game is being held, and how confident is the team and you this year?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure it matters. Of course, having home field advantage is always big, and we know we're going to go into their backyard, but it would have been special for it to be at Red Bull Arena for our fans, but that doesn't mean that it really changes what we need to do in the game. You know, we've been away basically every single round. Of course, we had the best of 3 series where we had one home playoff game, but for me it doesn't really matter where it is. I mean, it's playoff football, like you just said, clean sheets. It's not regular season. These games are more cagey. You go 1-0 up like we have done, we defend a little bit deeper maybe, and we're relying on the guys at the back, and been massive performances. So I think that translates well sometimes in playing away from home, if you can get your nose out in front and try and upset and then potentially use the crowd and use the anxiety in the stands to your benefit, which is something that I think we've done well. And then on the flip side, we know you're going to a hostile environment where you don't want to give them something to shout about too soon. So yeah, I don't think it really matters where the game is. Of course, we would have liked to have been at home, but I'm not too picky.
Next we go to Mark.
Lewis, can you talk a little bit about how much you embrace the local talent on your roster, the guys that are from this area? Obviously Edelman and Tolkien and the Nealis brothers, and what they've meant to this club.
Yeah, all those guys you mentioned. I would throw Peter in there, throw Ryan in there. There's even some of the younger guys that maybe haven't played as many minutes. They all know what this club's about, and I think it's important that Red Bull has that identity, and we've got a bunch of guys here that are performing week in, week out for us, that come from this area, and it's always important to have those guys in your team that grow up in the area. I wouldn't say it means more to them, it means everything to all players, but it's extra special for those guys being able to play in front of their friends and their family and knowing what the badge means. And yeah, the guys you've said there, along with many others, we've got loads of them in the building, are the lifeblood, and they really are the identity of Red Bull.
Next, go to Christian Ortiz.
Lewis, first of all, congratulations on a fantastic season so far. Talking about the game, LA Galaxy allow a lot of space for Seattle to have possession of the ball. how comfortable is the team going in, playing with possession, and as a second parter, during these times, players, coaches usually make a wish or something that they're going to do if they win MLS Cup. What will be your thing if you win it?
Yeah, I mean, I've not really thought about what I'll do if I win. My full focus is just on the game, getting the win, and then everything after that will just be off the cuff, I guess. But we're comfortable in the ball. Of course, it's not our identity as such to go out there and have 60% of the ball against LA Galaxy away from home. None of us expect that. What we do need to do is make sure that when we do have the ball, that we use it the way we want to use it, be efficient. Red Bull aren't a club that are, like I say, going to go to many away grounds and dominate the ball. It's not really our identity. It's not that we don't want to do it, but that's not what wins games of football. It's what you do with it. So hopefully LA Galaxy give us some space and transition. We respect them. They're a great side. And we know we're going to have to be really good off the ball. And then when we get on it, we've got quality, we've got good players. Just because we like doing the off the ball stuff and it sets us up for success doesn't mean that when we have it that we don't enjoy it. And I think we've got quality on the ball that we can hurt them.
And we'll finish up in the room with Christian Arnold.
In terms of Emil's success this season, you guys get a chance to see him every day behind the scenes. I'm curious from your perspective, what do you notice about the way he prepares, the way he plays, that's made him so successful that maybe isn't evident when you watch the game, but it's something you notice as someone who sees him every day?
I think he's just really, really level-headed. You know, the moment's never too big for him. He's played at obviously the highest level. And represented this country at the highest level as well, and I think he's just able to keep a level head, keep the group grounded. He never gets too high, never gets too low, and that's what you need. I think especially in playoff games, you don't want to make things out to be more than they are and be anxious going into games, and I think he sets a good example. There's not many of us in the team who are really, really experienced, so I'm sure a load of guys in the locker room are looking to Emil, and he sets that example for the group with how level headed and calm and composed he is.
Excellent. Thank you very much. We will transition to Zoom, where we will take a few questions. As a reminder, when your name is called, please remember to unmute to ask Lewis a question. We will start with Daniel Feuerstein, followed by Michael Batista.
Good afternoon, Lewis. Good luck with you on Saturday. If I can ask you for your opinion about the back line, since Sandro went with three center backs, having Reyes in between the Nealis brothers, what has that dynamic done for you defending while you and Emil and Dante are allowed to attack on the other side?
Yeah, they've been amazing. They've been the foundation of what this playoff run's been built on. We've had to defend off the ball and defend our box really well, and I think everyone back there stood up. It's probably not really been a playoff so far about myself or Dante and Emil getting on the ball and playing lovely free-flowing football. We're trying to help out where we can with the defensive duties, and I think, like I say, those guys have been great. They're winning us the games at the moment, and hopefully we can help them out a wee bit this weekend.
So thank you. Next, we will go to Michael Batista, followed by Joe Lowry. Michael, go ahead.
Lewis, thank you so much for the time. Your career up to this point, you've played in a lot of big games, multiple, trophy games with Sunderland, EFL Trophy final, playoff final, Celtic, you were League Cup. Just talking about this upcoming game, the MLS Cup, what separates these type of games for you as a player? I mean, the obvious thing is that, they're bigger stage, but I mean, the preparation, there's a lot more people in this press conference than usual. Just what's that like for you as a player, and how do you handle that? And what's it going to be like on Sunday? Where's it going to compare in your, litany, do you think?
Yeah, I think I do a pretty good job of what I was saying about Emil there is try to be pretty level-headed and consistent in my approach. Of course, I only really notice the weight of the game when you get there, and before the game you maybe just get a little bit more excited, I would say, and you can feel the atmosphere obviously is bigger. But as a player, I feel like as soon as the whistle goes, it's the same as any game. I never really feel that I'm playing in a big game as such. For me, I treat every single game the exact same. I try and play it as if it's my last one. And it's exciting, of course. The build up this week will be really exciting because we know what we're playing. I'm not sitting here saying it is the same as every other game. I know what's at stake, but I think the best thing you can do is try and remain level-headed and just take everything in your stride, enjoy it, and treat it like any other game, and hopefully we've got something to celebrate afterwards.
Thank you very much. We will go to Joe Lowry, followed by Ben Ramage. Joe?
Hey, Lewis, Joe Lowry from backheel.com. Thank you for taking the time. Really appreciate it. When you and I chatted after you won Comeback Player of the Year, you talked about how you tend to be pretty switched on tactically. Playing as a striker, I'd like to know, how much film do you personally watch of the opposing center backs that you're playing on the Saturday? How much, maybe more specifically for this game, how much have you watched of the Galaxy center backs, Maya Yoshida and Amiro Garces? And I guess kind of what's your scouting report on them? You're not going to tell us anything that the Galaxy don't already know, right?
Yeah, honestly, I've not looked too much to specific opponents. It's not something that I really do too much of. It's more in team video, I'll maybe have a closer eye on the centre backs, but I try not to get too focused on the strengths and weaknesses of opponents, because I don't really like to go full in and put all my energy in an area where I might sit here and say, oh, I think I can run behind this guy 10 times this game, and then the opportunity never arises, and I've put all my focus during the week of going to do something that doesn't really come up. So I think the thing that I try and do is just make sure that I'm ready for all possibilities and all eventualities. Of course, I'll maybe at the start of the game, there's usually a 5 or 10 minute period where I'll try and suss out the centre backs, maybe what one I'll have more joy in the air against, what one I feel like I can maybe go in behind against. I feel like most of my analysis is done during the game, but then of course we get a broader perspective in terms of team analysis throughout the week. So in terms of looking at the centre backs, listen, they've been a very, very successful team this year, so I know about the players, I know how well they've done this year, and I'm looking forward to going up and having a good battle against them.
Thank you. We will toss to Ben. Ben, you are free to unmute, and we will follow with Damien. Ben, if you could unmute yourself.
Hi, Lewis. I think that should be good now.
Yeah.
It's Ben here from a very wet and cold Glasgow. You're probably not missing us too much at the moment. I was just going to ask, do you feel like shining in this cup final can keep you in Scotland boss Steve Clarke's plans for the World Cup qualifiers that start this year?
Yeah, of course. I mean, anytime that I'm on the pitch, it's an opportunity to try and impress and keep myself in the manager's thoughts. And unfortunately, with the sort of hip issue I've been obviously dealing with, I was unable to go to the last camp, which worked out pretty well for the boys with two great wins. So anytime I'm on the pitch, I'm trying to impress. Of course, it's not the forefront of my mind. I just know that I need to be performing well for Red Bulls, and then anything off the back of that will come based on what I'm doing on the pitch. So the bigger stage always puts a little bit more of a microscope on it, and hopefully this weekend we can put a good performance on.
Thank you. Next, we'll go to Damien Calhoun. Damien, if you still have a question, we will unmute you.
Yeah, Lewis, how you doing?
How's it going?
Good. This is Damien Calhoun out here with the LA Daily News. What do you attribute the Red Bulls' playoff success to?
Loads of things. I think the guys have just been really switched on and focused the whole time. I think we've known and what the task is at hand. We've known we've been underdogs going into loads of the games. We've embraced that. We'll embrace it again this weekend, knowing that we're not expected to go there and run all over LA Galaxy. We're expected to go there and make things difficult and try and impose our style of football on them, which is exactly what we're going to try and do. I think we've never really gotten too far ahead of ourselves or thought we've achieved anything. I think we've remained pretty grounded in terms of knowing that if we do want to win and achieve anything, it's going to take a collective group effort, and I think that's really what's got us to this point.
Thank you, and we'll take one more from Zoom. Alex Labadou, you are now able to talk.
Hi, can everyone hear me okay?
Yep.
Quick question for you. I just wanted to get your thoughts on the Ricky Puig injury over the weekend. Obviously, having come back yourself strong from a significant injury, just wanted to see if you had any sort of advice or suggestions or sympathy down to everything that he's dealing with.
Yeah, for sure. I think everyone was sympathising and hurt about the news. It's not something I would ever wish on any player, especially I've got a sort of broader knowledge of what can happen and what these injuries can be, and I know he's definitely got a great team behind him there at Galaxy, and his family and friends will see him through it, and he's an experienced player. He's one of the best, if not been the best midfielder in the league this year, so he's going to be a miss for this cup final, and as a player you always want to be testing yourself against the top players, so I'd certainly took no joy in knowing that he was going to be missing this game, but I'm sure he's going to be back better. He doesn't need me to be here and giving him any advice. I know he's going to he'll come back stronger for sure, and I look forward to seeing him back out there on the pitch.